In this PowerPoint, we're going to be focusing on Unit 4, which is going to cover Chapters 6 and 7 in our text. And the context of it is going to be exploring the ideas of community, youth, and interscholastic sport management. These are going to be focusing on the two chapters in our text. And one of the things to keep in mind is one of the slides, we're going to go ahead and do the same process that we did in our Unit 3, where we're going to look at a particular case study. And so please take note specifically of that within this PowerPoint, and you'll enjoy hearing a guest speaker and some more information about that as we go on. So enjoy this PowerPoint, Chapter 6 and 7 for Unit 4. On this PowerPoint slide, we're going to focus on the definition of community sport. We're going to look at a couple samples of what community sport entails, a few of the significant differences between community sport and professional sport, as well as talk about an interesting perspective that I found in our text that I wanted to share with you. So first off, community sport defined. Our text provides a definition by Nicholson, Smith, and Westerbeek in 2004. And they, as a group, define community sport as organized physical activity that is based in community, school, and local sport organizations. And as we explore the difference in this unit between community, youth, and interscholastic sport, I found it really helpful in our text that we are provided on page 147 with a sample of community sport organizations in North America. I pulled a few of the most common and well-known organizations that I am familiar with from that list. So I pulled their logos there for you and just put a few on there for you to explore. But Pop Warner football, I think everyone knows a Pop Warner kid, either that has been involved in football or cheerleading. I know both of my younger brothers did that growing up. National Alliance for Youth Sport, ASA softball, big part of my life growing up. And even currently our family is members of our local chapter of the YMCA, so out here in the Long Beach area. And so you can check out these, but as well as look at that list on page 147, just a really quick and brief look at about 30 samples of community sport organizations in North America. And I'm sure, again, you could probably list 10 or 15 more just that you're familiar of that are not listed here. But those are going to be some examples of community sport as well as the definition. A few things that I wanted to share from the text that I thought was actually really important in terms of distinctions for the role of a sport manager. When you think of professional sport, most sport managers, their concerns and their responsibilities are primarily going to be on that professional sport making money. A financial gain is going to be critical to them. And so oftentimes what they're going to do is they're going to view people in the primary role of spectators and the secondary role of consumers. So how do we get people in the seats at these professional sport activities and games? How do we get them in the stands? How do we get them to buy tickets? And then how do we get them to be consumers of sport for entertainment, whether that means watching it on TV, buying tickets, as I mentioned, to the games, buying, t-shirts and souvenirs and things like that. So the emphasis is really going to be on people as spectators and consumers when you think about professional sport. Now, in the context of community sport, that changes. So the sport manager's primary role is going to be to consider the person as a participant. So the main goal is going to be, how do we get people involved in this physical activity? How do we get more people involved in the community in terms of signing up for these organizations and signing up to be on the teams that we offer or participate in the programs that we offer within our community or within our park and rec department. So it changes a bit from really wanting to consider people as a means to an end in some ways in terms of making money from ticket sales and consumers of the sport, to really looking at how do we get people involved as participants. A second piece of that is when we're thinking about people as participants, it's not simply just getting them to move, getting them to participate on a team, but it goes really beyond that. So it really, the goal then of a sport manager, the step beyond just getting someone to participate is really going to be to explore how do we get beyond just the physical benefits of it, but also looking at how do we improve the overall family well-being? How do we provide opportunities for families to participate together? What are we doing for parents when their children are involved in the activities? Are we providing childcare? If parents want to take a class within the community and so forth. So all of these different concerns. Also, how do we create and cultivate a sense of community? If someone signs up to be or to participate in one of these activities or in a sport within the community organization, what are we doing to connect them to the community at large? And also, how do we increase their social capital for families and other groups? So how do we really look at the holistic view of the person and figure out how do we get them not only stronger connected with their family, those who are in their kind of more intimate circle, but also how do we get them connected to the community as a whole and provide resources for them beyond just the physical activity. So those are some key pieces in terms of really what is unique to community sport if you're looking at it through the lens of how different it is from a professional sport engagement and how the role would change as a sport manager from one entity to the other. Lastly, there's a quote here that I wanted to share with you that I thought was really, really profound. It's on the bottom right-hand side of the PowerPoint slide here, but it talks about our research that was done that our text shares with us, and it mentions that data shows that interest in being physically active in both sport and exercise results not from biological inheritance, but rather from the opportunity and engagement of influential people in a child's life. And I feel like that can be the overarching mantra for community sport participation, community sport management, and just kind of to champion this idea of community sport engagement. As a college athlete, as a professional athlete, as a college coach, I would love to think that we have 2 girls, and I would love to think that our children are just, because of their DNA being born into a sport family, they're just going to wake up and have this innate desire to be active and to participate in sport and exercise. And yet, I know that's not necessarily true. I know that the greater influence on them, the greater impact on their life in terms of their decision to participate in sport and exercise is really going to come from our family deciding to sign them up for activities. So are we providing them an opportunity to learn about soccer, to play park league basketball, to participate in different organizations or swim lessons at the YMCA. So it really is going to come from the place of providing opportunities for them, as well as encouraging them as they're trying new things. And the encouragement piece, I think, is huge. And that trickles down all the way to a youth rec leader as kids are participating sometimes in something very new for them, a new activity, a new sport that they're doing through the community service programs. Are they encouraged as they're doing it? And so even the coaching looks a little bit different at this level. So just an interesting finding that I wanted to share with you. But again, just to kind of reiterate again, this whole idea of community sport and how unique it really is when you're looking at it through the lens of the participant, looking through the lens of what are the outcomes that you want someone to walk away with as they participate in activities within community sport. And then again, how does the role change of the sport manager within this context?
Patrick Henry Elementary School is a dual immersion school in Long Beach Unified School District. This school is a 100% immersion school where primarily English-speaking students attend the school and learn 100% of their day in the Spanish language, which means by the time they're in the 8th grade, they pass the AP exam and are bilingual speakers. This unique opportunity for students in this program oftentimes eliminates the physical education and other art programs at the school. Because this is not a funded program at the school being physical education for the students, and we do not have a full-time PE teacher at the school, the PTA has participated in different fundraising activities, specifically a fit-a-thon that has raised funds to supplement this unique program. The YMCA is a participant with the school in the physical education program. The YMCA comes in as a unique funding opportunity where the fundraisers are supporting the funds to pay for YMCA staff and other staff to come in and operate a physical education program on site for each of the students in every grade. This is a special program that's unique to Patrick Henry Elementary School and has allowed this very dynamic environment of students who are engaged in learning a second language, also giving them the opportunity to have physical education and PE classes. Two of my boys, Xavier, how old are you?
7.
And Isaac, how old are you?
5.
Almost 6. Get to participate in the physical education program run by the YMCA, funded by the PTA, which is the parent association at our school. Did you have PE today, Xavier?
Yeah.
And how was it?
It was very fun.
What did you do in PE today?
We did relay races. We did jumping jacks. We did lots of fun stuff. It was really cool.
Are you looking forward to PE, Isaac?
Yes.
Have you done it yet?
No.
But you can't wait, right?
Yes. I can't wait.
Okay, so what I shared with you here are two specific types of community sport offerings. The first is adult community sport offerings, and second is youth sport offerings. Both of these components are going to be found in our textbook, and I'll go ahead and start with the adult community sport offerings first. What I provided for you here is just a snapshot, just a picture image of the cover page of our City of Seal Beach shoreline brochure. This was for the summer of 2017, and just a quick Google search through the City of Seal Beach and Park and Rec Department. It's an easy to find, easy to locate, downloadable PDF. You can find an online digital copy, but you can also download a PDF so that you can print it out or have access to it in a PDF format as well. And it's incredibly helpful just to find all the various components that the city offers in terms of their Park and Rec Department. So there are classes for adults, there are classes for seniors, and absolutely classes for the youth. But I just thought it was really interesting when we look specifically at adult community sport offerings, how easy it is to find within the city that you live in, adult community engagements and activities that you can find. So there's no forum tied to this particular activity, but I would love if you can take a moment and just Google search your own city, wherever you live right now, or a city that you grew up in, and just do a quick check in your Park and Rec Department through your city and find out what's offered in your town. And if you choose to post anything about this in your forum or email me a response to it, I'll try to see what we can do in terms of offering an extra forum unit point or some extra credit point there for you. So if you're listening to this all the way through and you're able to look in your particular city and find what sport offerings are available to you as an adult in your community and in the Park and Rec Department in the city that you live in, I can honor that by, again, just extending an extra forum point or some sort of extra credit for you, because I think it'd be a really neat activity to do and just to kind of explore together. On the right-hand side of the PowerPoint, you're going to see information about youth sport offerings, and a couple points there. Our text, again, does a great job. And I think it starts around here on page 156, going through top of page 159. And it will break down for us 4 different types of youth sport offerings, ranging from classes to instructional leagues, competitive leagues, and after-school programs. And so one of the things that is pretty relevant to this class is a resource for us through the National Alliance for Youth Sports. And if you go to that website or if you look at that at all, they often will have blog posts and video posts, very quick insights and testimonials into just different components that they offer, different resources that they offer. And so one I found here from Nomar Garcia-Parra, who plays for the Boston Red Sox. I uploaded a video link for you to watch his testimonial. Again, it's just a real quick minute or a minute and a half video, but I'd love for you to watch it because I think he does a great job of explaining how part of the reason he feels like he was incredibly successful and what most prepared him for success at the elite level of Major League Baseball was the fact that he participated in a number of different sports growing up. One of the kind of hot topics that we find in at our level and in our conversations in our master's classes is this debate of single sport specialization at a very young age. And so he really kind of hits that head on and talks about this idea that growing up and as a youth, he was exposed to multiple different sports, and those sport competitions and times that he had in games, in competitions, and these other sports truly was what best prepared him to be successful in baseball, actually. So just a neat point of view that he brings, and I think it's really relevant as we look at this idea of single sport specialization. And again, just being able to support the idea and how important it is that we do offer a variety of low cost and somewhat lower level in terms of the intensity youth sport offerings within our community park and rec department. And I think, again, that's just incredibly, incredibly helpful. And as a parent, I want to be intentional with that with our kids and make sure that we are giving them opportunities to explore multiple different sports that they may not choose to do at a high competitive level or at a high cost in a private league. And so please enjoy reading our text about that. And again, a couple bonus points for you. We'll negotiate what that looks like if you're able to go back in your city park and rec department and look into what is offered at the city that you live in. So an interesting fact about interscholastic athletics as we move into Chapter 7 here and look to see what this topic includes is that I think most people, when they think of a research perspective, they're really drawn to doing research and producing literature that really looks at the intercollegiate level and professional level of sport. And so it's interesting that at the interscholastic level, there's the least amount of attention given to this particular level of play in terms of research, and yet it is the largest athletic organization as a whole in terms of the scope and scale. Over 300,000 coaches and administrators participate in interscholastic athletics. It's a $15 billion U.S. industry, and again, the largest level of participants, teams, and programs in the U.S. So if you were to compare interscholastic athletics to that of NCAA, Division I, junior college, professional level sport, this by far is the largest in terms of scope and scale. And yet we often, I think, bypass it and look more closely at sort of big business sport components. But this idea of interscholastic athletics, it is the largest organization in terms of participants, teams, and programs. And I think it really deserves a really intentional look. In our in-class portion for PE572, we're going to have Dr. Joe Marcos come and speak to the class. And so what I'm hoping that we're able to do for you who are just looking at this PowerPoint online is be able to capture some of his conversation. He has decades of experience as a coach, but also as an athletic director at a Southern California public high school, and recently retired from his athletic directing and coaching responsibilities, but is highly, highly respected in the field, has had some engagement and some responsibilities within the CIF here in California, and is really, again, just very, very respected in the field of interscholastic athletics, has a depth of knowledge, again, has just retired, but he has been teaching adjunct in our APU program for over a decade. So just an incredible man, and we're going to be so fortunate to hear from him. And again, we will capture that by video, and I'll be able to upload that so you can hear some of his thoughts and insights and feedback, particularly about the interscholastic athletics and just his journey as a coach and as an athletic director. And as well, he's going to give us some really intentional information about eligibility, compliance, academic support services for athletes at the high school level. And all of that information is going to help equip you should you choose to do the option of the assignment where you're going to be exploring the differences between those topics within high school, junior collegiate, and then Division 1, 2, or 3 within the NCAA collegiate sport. So we're going to hear from Dr. Joe Marcos in a bit. And again, as soon as possible, I'll go ahead and upload the video content from what he's sharing with us. But two things just quickly on the slide that I wanted to bring your attention to. One is the national governance. So the acronym for that is the NFHS. This was established in the early 1900s. Our text will share a bit with you about the journey of this association, where it has come from, the name changes it's experienced, and then the number of states and members that have participated in this association over the years. I believe in 1970s was when each of the states in the United States decided to participate within the NFHS, as well as now adopting 22 additional members outside of the U.S. So there's a huge organization when you think of interscholastic athletics and just the governing board from a national level. I did provide the website URL for you there that you can link to, as well as just showed you a quick picture of what their logo looks like. And then what I'd like to ask you to do is, depending on where you're at listening to this PowerPoint and where you're at, what state you're living in, I would really like to encourage you to explore your state governance in terms of interscholastic athletics. Here in California, it is the CIF, California Interscholastic Federation. I did provide, again, the website URL for you there, as well as the CIF logo. So just explore that a bit. But again, if you are living outside of California, you're welcome to look at this website. But I would really, really encourage you to explore a bit the state that you're living in and the state governance that is associated with your particular interscholastic athletics within your state. So have fun checking that out a bit. And again, would love to connect with you in forums about this particular scope and scale of interscholastic athletics. One thing that I wanted to introduce you to as you start to explore careers in interscholastic athletics is the NIAAA. It is the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association. And what this organization does is it provides professional certification and development for athletic administrators through its leadership training programs. And so you'll find a bit more about this on page 177 of our text. I've also included for you a hyperlink here that you can access. And the reason I wanted to point that out to you is they offer 4 different types of certifications. The first is the Registered Athletic Administrator. Second, the Registered Middle School Athletic Administrator. Thirdly is the Certified Athletic Administrator, and fourth is a Certified Master Athletic Administrator. So if you're looking for any type of certification above and beyond your credential, your master's degree that you're receiving, and you're really wanting to look at specific credential opportunities or certifications that you can have as an athletic director, I wanted to point those out to you, as well as just the website itself. You're going to be able to find a number of different resources for you there in terms of articles and news highlights and topics and videos and just a plethora of information there for you. So I want to make sure that you did have that. And I also wanted to point out to you, one of our forums in this unit is going to be specific to this slide. So hopefully if you're listening to this, this will be a huge advantage for you. But one of the things that you're going to be able to do is to explore this idea of, if you really were looking at a career specifically at the interscholastic level, in terms of working in an athletic department, there are 2 different areas that our textbook will share with you and unpack for you a bit. The first is going to be positions in interscholastic athletics that are within professional associations. And so those positions include, there are 4 for you to consider here, Executive Director, Chief Financial Officer, Director of Media Relations and Marketing, and then Director of Member Services. The text will give you a quick paragraph description about each of those, but all of those 4 will fall under professional associations. And what you're going to do in the forum is you are going to decide if you were to dream up a career that you would like to have within this field, and you have these 4 options, which one would you most like to explore? The forum itself is going to ask you to go ahead and research a few professional associations, find an actual real organization, not a hypothetical one, but a real professional association, and find a current time job posting. So go ahead and find one in one of these 4 areas that you would most like to explore, and just put yourself in the position as if you were truly looking for one of those jobs. So your forum post is going to be to include the URL and the job description for that live job in real time that is being offered at this moment. You're going to do that as well once more for the positions at the local school level. And in that category, you'll have 5 different positions to explore. The first is going to be as an athletics director, second, an athletics business manager, third is a coach, fourth, athletics trainer, and fifth as a game official. So think about in that category at the local school level, which one of those 5 most interests you. And once you land on the one that you think, if you were in the situation where you were looking for one of those career opportunities, which one of the 5 would you choose? And then go ahead and search again in real life time, search as if you were looking today for a job at the local school level in one of those 5 areas, and then go ahead and post the URL and the current opening job description that you find. It'll be fun to explore kind of what's out there, what's open in real time, and as you share that with each other in the class, I think it'll lead to some interesting conversations. One of the things that I'm really excited about that we're going to get to do in this class is we're going to get to hear from an APU graduate alumni, Matt Barnes. He is the creative director, founder, and owner of Rogue Creative Development, located in Newport Beach, California. He did his undergrad at Pepperdine University and then went to APU to do his master's in organizational leadership. And my husband and I have known Matt for many, many years. He's worked in nonprofit. He has actually started a couple companies, and just a really, really creative, innovative, and just a really wise individual. And so we're so excited to be able to integrate some of his teaching in this class as well. So what we're going to be able to do is we're going to look at this idea of social media and personal branding. Our text talks a little bit about media and interscholastic sports. And so I do want to encourage you to read that on page 185. It'll talk a little bit about the challenges and the benefits to utilizing social media within the interscholastic sport environment. But I want to take it one step further and personalize it a bit, since this class is a class focused on the foundations of sport management, and you as a sport management leader, I think it's incredibly important to consider the impact that social media has, and in terms of what we're putting out there in terms of our personal brand. And so I don't have a background that I feel like would be sufficient enough in social media marketing and personal branding to be able to do that justice. So I have asked Matt and invited him to come and speak into our class because he truly is an expert in this area. So I did put just a little bit of information on here for you, the logo that he has for his company, Rogue Creative Development. Also, a really neat article that he actually put together about how to master social media. It's kind of a tips and tools guide that you can find, and so there's a hyperlink there for you. Where it says resource. And then also just to keep in mind, our text brought up a really good fact, a really could be considered a challenging fact to us, I guess, where it's talking about a study that was done by PRN Newswire in 2012. And I would imagine 5-6 years down the road here, this might be an even higher number. But 37% of employers check the social media pages of job candidates. And I find that that is very, very true. I know that, even when I was coaching at the college level, one of the things that we were really intentional about was looking at how players engage with the world around them, what they are presenting to the world around them. And if you think about that from a coach perspective, from an athletic perspective, considering, when you're recruiting a student athlete, you are looking at what they're putting out there, the brand that they have, and how that's going to reflect your institution, your team, your school. And so I think we have to also personalize that ourselves and say, as we're looking for career changes or job interviews, or just in terms of us, in terms of our reflection of our company that we are overseeing or the roles that we have within sport organizations, I think it's incredibly important just to be mindful of the role that social media plays, and then also what it is that we want to brand ourselves with. What do we want to represent? What is the percentage of things that we're putting out there in terms of personal content, professional content, and really being able to edit that well. So please enjoy that free resource for you for how to master social media that Matt has provided from Rogue Creative Development. And then I'll go ahead, and if you're in the online class, and we are going to have Matt come in and speak in person, we'll capture that by video and make sure that we're uploading it here for you so that you'll be able to see that video and be able to hear what Matt has to say and just his unique take on social media, personal branding, what he does in terms of his own company, and how he sees that as a role that needs to be really intentional in our lives as we're looking to be sport management professionals. So thanks again. That's the last slide for this PowerPoint for Unit 4. And if you have any questions, as always, please feel free to text, email, or message on Sakai. But thanks so much for tracking through and for listening to all the content here in the lessons portion for Unit 4.